वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते 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 वासुदेवाय. So we'll sing Jai Radha Madhava now and then discuss a few verses. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda Shri Radhe. Jaya Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari, Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari. Jaya Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari, Jaya Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. जय हो विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, यमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu Krishne Matirastu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, so today we are going to start chapter 6 of Bhagavad-Gita. We have finished 5 chapters and there's a 6th chapter which is called the Dhyana Yoga. So we had started with the Arjuna Vishada Yoga, which was the first chapter where Arjuna was in a very difficult situation and he wanted to get some kind of message from Krishna. Then there was Sankhya Yoga. That was the second, where Krishna was explaining about our eternal nature. That was the main thing. Then we had the Karma Yoga. The Karma Yoga was where Krishna specifies about the importance of engaging in activities without being too much attached to the results. That was Karma Yoga. Then the fourth was Jnana Yoga. So Jnana is the transcendental knowledge. Then the fifth was Karma Sannyas Yoga, where Krishna was mentioning about how one can engage in activities and still be detached from it. And then this is Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana is meditation, right? So when the mind is fixed on, so mind has to be fixed. So that is the main important thing. Because the nature of mind is, it does not want to be fixed. It wants to just go from one place to another place. So that's why mind is sometimes compared to a monkey, right? Monkey doesn't want to stay at one place. It goes from one branch to another branch. It wants to do lots of different things. Mind is compared like that. So dhyana and in the fifth verse of this chapter, Krishna will explain about how the mind, how we have two minds, a higher mind and a lower mind. And Krishna says that raise your lower mind through the higher mind. That is the fifth verse. But before that, we'll start with the first verse, which is, so maybe you can repeat, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Anashritah karma phalam, Anashritah karma phalam, Karyam karma karoti yaha, Karyam karma karoti yaha, Sasanyasi sayogi cha, Sasanyasi sayogi cha, Na niragnir na cha kriya, Na niragnir na cha kriya. So the word by word, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha,
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
The Lord said, Anashritaha,
Anashritaha.
without taking shelter,
Without taking shelter.
Karma phalam,
Karma phalam.
of the result of work,
Of the result of work.
Karyam,
Karyam.
obligatory,
Obligatory.
Karma,
Karma.
work,
Work.
Karoti,
Karoti.
performs,
Performs.
Yaha,
Yaha.
one who,
One who.
Saha,
Saha.
he,
He.
Sannyasi,
Sannyasi.
in the renounced order,
In the renounced order.
Cha,
Cha.
also,
Also.
Yogi,
Yogi.
mystic,
Mystic.
Cha,
Cha.
also,
Also.
Na,
Na.
not,
Not.
Nih,
Nihi.
without,
Without.
Agnihi,
Agni.
fire,
Fire.
Na,
Na.
nor,
Not.
Cha,
Cha.
also,
Also.
Akriyaha,
Akriya.
without duty.
Without duty.
So the translation here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
The
Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached,
One who is unattached
to the fruit of his work
to the fruits of his work
and who works
and who works
as he is obligated
as he is obligated
is in the renounced order of life.
is in the renounced order of life.
And he is the true mystic,
And he is the true mystic,
not he
not he
who lights no fire
who lights no fire
and performs no duty.
and performs no duty.
Okay, so this is Krishna's. If you look at the purport, let's try and see the purport here. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada actually concludes the purport by talking about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshashtakam. So here, in this particular verse, what Krishna is saying is, sometimes the general perception is, right, so if someone has renounced everything and is staying in the forest, or if someone has renounced everything and is staying in an ashram, so that person is a renounced person. Generally, that is the impression, right? So Krishna is saying that is not like that is one of the things that could be right, but it is not the only right thing, right? So Krishna here is saying that the real person who is renounced is one who does anashrita karma phalam. Ashrita means ashraya. There is a word called ashraya. Ashraya means taking shelter. So Krishna is the ashraya tattva. It is called. What does it mean by ashraya tattva? Means one to whom we can go and take shelter of. Because Krishna says, Mama Maya Duratyaya, Devi Hesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratyaya. So the material energy is under the control of the Lord. And we are in the material world. We are in the material world under the influence of the modes of material nature. So somehow or other we have a little bit of mode of goodness, and that's why we are involving in this activity. But most of the time we are in either mode of passion or mode of ignorance. Most of the time we want to gratify our senses, or we want to just lie down and be lazy. So this is the natural. So that is why there is this tamasoma jyotirgamaya, asatoma sadgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. That Vedic Vakya that is there. What does it state? It states that so when we are identifying ourselves with the body and the mind and the five senses, what is happening is we are thinking that this is the only thing that exists. But when we try and understand, when we try and go into what is it that is actually making my body to work, when we try and understand that, what is it that distinguishes a living body from a dead body? It is the consciousness, the presence of consciousness. The body is still existing in an alive person, and the body is still existing when a person is dead. At the moment a person dies, the body is still existing. But after the person has died, the body starts decomposing. Why does the body start decomposing? What is the reason? Because the conscious element has left the body. And that conscious element we are. This is, if we can somehow or other fix our mind on this understanding, that is called dhyana. The dhyana is, first of all, there has to be an inclination to understand this. And it is very rare. We have discussed this before. It is actually said that the activity that we are doing now, it is not easily available. It is like we have thousands and thousands of people, and we can send this message to thousands and thousands of people. But how many people turn up? We know for sure what happens. Unless there is some kind of, people want to see some kind of magic, right? If you see some magic, then people get attracted to it. But the real magic that is happening is happening at every moment with us. How do we know that? How do we know real? The fact that we are existing here, the fact that I am speaking, we are all listening, we have got this body, we have got this mind, we are able to analyze the world, we are in this world. It's all magic, right? It is not. What happens is we start taking things for granted, and when we start taking things for granted, nothing. And that's why they always talk even in the the personal development world, they talk about being grateful for what we have. Generally what happens is we are always comparing ourselves with what we lack. We see, because in this world there will always be a person who is higher than us, and there will always be a person who might be lower than us, right? So there is always this comparison that is going to happen. And when this comparison is happening, we are always feeling the lack. We are not being grateful for what we have. And in the personal development world, what they say is, when we have the gratitude for what we have, we will get more of the things. So Krishna here, what he's saying is, anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karotiya. Without being dependent on the results, if someone is doing the work. Anashrita, without ashrita, we said, right? Shelter, taking shelter. So I'm not taking shelter of the result. I'm just doing the activity because I love to do the activity. And then if the circumstances are proper, if everything is working proper, I might get positive results. Or if the circumstances are not proper, or if other things are not matching up, I might not get proper results. So if I do all the activities with only the intention that I have to get this result, and I'm only focusing on the result, but not on the activity that I am doing, what is going to happen? So generally they say, generally the people who are becoming extremely famous, extremely rich, they are not trying to be extremely rich. They are not trying to be extremely famous. What they're doing is, they have a talent and they are just happy, passionate about their talent, and they are using their talent to help others. And the money and fame and everything is coming as a byproduct of that, right? So this is what it's a very practical thing that Krishna is saying here. So if one is just enjoying what one is doing without being dependent on the result, Krishna says sa sannyasi sa yogi cha. That is a real renunciant person. Because generally what happens is, when I got this particular body, I think that that is the false ego thing. The false ego is connecting my eternal self with this temporary body, which has got a date of birth, date of death, and between birth and death, I have disease and old age. That is called Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. So this is what Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, that a person who has got this spiritual knowledge knows that one is eternal. This is like a cloth that I'm wearing, and this cloth will have to be given up, and then I'll take a new cloth. I'll get a new cloth. The body is like a cloth. Krishna says, Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya. So when that understanding is very strong, then whatever activities one is performing from the perspective of being an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. So it's not, otherwise if I think that I am this body, then my personality has to be given a lot of preference. Then I should be given a lot of respect. All those things come, I and mine. Janasya mohoyam aham mameti. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is where all the difficulties start in this world, right? Why do people fight with each other? Because it is clash of egos at the end of the day. One person has got a bigger ego, and with that bigger ego, that person goes and fights with the other person. The other person's ego gets hurt, and the other person also replies back, and then it's like a vicious cycle. It's like a clash of egos. That is what is happening in this material world. So this is what sa sannyasi sa yogicha. Krishna says, one who is doing their activity without being attached to the results is a real renunciant and is a real yogi as well. And in the next verse, Krishna will actually explain. So there are just like we were discussing before, there is Sankhya and Yoga, right? We were discussing the difference between Sankhya and Yoga. Now here Krishna is saying Sannyasa and Yoga. So Sankhya and Sannyasa are the same thing. Sankhya means understanding through knowledge, and Yoga means understanding through love, right? So love happens when one understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I am part and parcel of Krishna. My natural inclination is to be in relationship with Krishna. That is love. That is yoga. Yoga means linking, and sannyasa is renouncing. There is a particular verse where Srila Rupa Goswami says that prapanchikaya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam phalgu katyate. So sannyasa generally means renouncing, right? That is called vairagya. Vairagya means sannyasa. If one is saying that one is a sannyasi, renunciant, that means one has vairagya. Vairagya means dispassion. But what Srila Rupa Goswami, what he says is, if we are renouncing things just for the sake of renunciation, that is not a real renunciation. But if a person is using the things in service of the Lord, that is real renunciation. That is called yukta vairagyam uchyate. There is another verse where Srila Rupa Goswami says that nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yukta vairagyam uchyate. So for example, okay, so we have got these ears, right? We are listening now. So we can say that one way of saying this is, I won't listen to anything. I will be silent, I won't listen to anything, and I'll always be silent. That is one way. That is sannyasa. Yoga is always listening about Krishna, being attached to Krishna. That is yoga, a connection. When one is, and Patanjali actually mentions, Patanjali is a founder of yoga. He says yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. He gives a definition of yoga. Yoga means the turbulations that happen in the mind, control of that is yoga. So one can renounce everything and try and control, or one can engage everything in the service of the Lord and control. Krishna generally, he was, in the previous verses, he was saying Sankhya and Yoga are the same. Now he's saying Sannyasa and Yoga are the same. But in the end, he says that for the person who has got this body, Yoga is better. Because generally, because we have this body, we always think in terms of relationships, right? Like we cannot... Krishna actually says in particular in a particular verse that klesho adhikaras tesham avyakta asakta chetasam avyakto hi gatir dukkham dehavadbhir avapyate. So this sannyasa or total renunciation is avyakta asakta. Avyakta means impersonal. So impersonal means what? Like aham brahmasmi, that the whole world is Brahman. So that is the sannyasa part. The sannyasa that the people who are impersonalists. So we have got two different types of transcendentalists, right? One transcendentalist is a person who considers that everything is Brahman, and all these varieties that we are seeing is because I am identifying with the matter. That's why I see all these varieties. That is one type of transcendentalists. They are impersonalists. There are second type of transcendentalists who are personalists. The personalist is saying that the Lord is a person and all the living entities are also eternal persons. And their existence, real existence, involves in serving the Lord. So they want to maintain their individuality in service of the Lord. So that is mainly the yoga part and the sannyasa part. So this is a very beautiful verse, where so generally there is and this is another thing that happens as well, especially like when Srila Prabhupada, he wanted to start this spiritual movement from India, and when he was trying to start, generally in India there is this tendency that if a person is becoming too spiritual, then maybe they are not in the right direction. But actually that is the goal of human form of life. So he was finding it difficult to get people with him because people did not want their children to go totally in the spiritual direction. But then he came to America when he was 70 years old. He was chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in the Tompkins Park in New York. And then these people, they got attracted to the sound vibrations, the Westerners. Some of them were drug addicts and all, right? They got attracted to the sound vibration of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then they became his renunciant disciples. And then they came to India. And then the Indians got impressed by this. And then he got a lot of people from India as well who came in. But the main thing that I'm trying to say here is that it's not the external renunciation which is important. Renunciation is something that is internal. So like Janaka Maharaj is a great example. Janaka Maharaj is considered a great renunciant, but he was the king of Mithila, right? He was the father of Sita Devi. But he was a king and he had all the luxuries, but internally he was totally detached. So this is what is Krishna saying about sannyasi and yogi. Now we'll go to the next verse where Krishna is informing more about sannyasa and yoga. So okay, yam sannyasam iti prahur, yam sannyasam iti prahur, yogam tad vidhi pandava, yogam tad vidhi pandava, nahi asanyasta sankalpo, yogi bhavati kaschanah. So word by word is yam. What? Sannyasam. Renunciation. Iti. Thus. Prahu. They say. Yogam. Linking with the Supreme. Tam. That. Vidhi. You must know. Pandava. O son of Pandu. Na. Never. He. Certainly. Asanyasta. Without giving up. Sankalpaha. Desire for self-satisfaction. Yogi. A mystic transcendentalist. Bhavati. Becomes. Kashana. Anyone. So the translation here is, what is called renunciation? What is called renunciation? You should know. To be the same as yoga. Or linking oneself with the Supreme. O son of Pandu. For one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. Right? So this is yam sannyasam iti prahur, yogam tam vidhi pandava, nahi asanyaste sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. So again, Krishna is continuing to describe what is yoga and what is sannyasa. So he's saying that in yoga what is happening is one is becoming so much attached to Krishna that the senses are automatically controlled. In sannyasa what is one trying to do is one is trying to renounce everything. Just renounce everything and just be situated in the self. So Krishna is saying that both are the same thing. Why both are the same thing? Because in both the cases the mind is getting focused. That is dhyana yoga. That's what the dhyana is. In the case of sannyasa, what is happening is yam so the yato nischarati manas chanchalam astiram tatas tadat niyam yaitat atmanyeva vasham nayat. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita, one of the shlokas, he says that whenever the mind is going out of the self, bring it back to the self. So the mind natural situation is within the self. And what is the self? Self is our eternal existence, not dependent on the body, independent of the body. It is eternally. There is no beginning, there is no end. It is very difficult to understand this, because our whole existence is dependent on beginning and end. Why? Because the whole existence is dependent on the body coming into existence, right? So I am thinking that I am this particular body that I am now. But what is happening to this body? Right? At every moment it is changing. And how are we noticing this change? We are noticing this change because we ourselves are unchangeable. In physics, if you talk about the law of motion, we have discussed this many times. If two things are moving in the same direction at the same speed, and one person is sitting here and another person is sitting here, they're looking at each other, they will feel as if they're not moving at all. But if one train is situated at one place, another train is moving, you'll see that this is moving. Exactly the same thing. The reason why I am able to understand that I was a child, now I am this person, and then later I'll become old, and then the body will go. Why I'm able to notice that? Dehi nosmin yatha dehe, kaumaram yavanam jara. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita, right? So he says that because there is a proprietor of the body within the body, all these changes are happening. There is a childhood, there is youth, there is old age. Tatha dehantaram prapti. Krishna says that similarly, at a point in time, one will give up this body. Therefore, dhiras tatrana muhyati. Krishna says a sober person does not get bewildered by these changes. Because this is the nature of this material world. Krishna says, dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Mamupetya punarjanmam dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gata. Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita that if someone is mam upetya, if someone is going to the Lord, mamupetya punarjanmam dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti. One does not get situated in this material world where there is constant cycle of birth and death. And unfortunately, it is an abode of misery. Because someone might say that, might be a billionaire, right? And might say that I don't have any problem with money because I can get whatever things I want. But the person cannot say that I don't have mental troubles. Unfortunately, a person who has got lots of money has got lots of mental troubles. So that is called adhyatmik. Adhyatmik, adhibhautik and adidevik. So these three types of afflictions are there in this material world. Adhyatmik is one that is coming from my own body and mind. Adibhautik is coming from other living entities. And adidevik is coming from the natural calamities that happen. So this is the nature of this material world. In this particular verse, what Krishna is saying is, so the yoga and sannyasa is the same thing. So yoga is helping us to control the mind. Sannyasa is also doing the same thing. And the yoga and sannyasa, the common point is dhyana. That is why this chapter is called dhyana. If one can keep one's mind focused, then one can be in a state of peacefulness and contentment. But that focus has to be something that is, generally people say, the people who are not like, you've got one kind of person who would be really interested in the divinity aspects of the Lord. So understanding that there are different gradations. There is a Lord, there are living entities, and the Lord is at a divine level. And then there would be some people who say that you can focus your mind on anything and it's still fine. So both have their own point of view, but we can understand that if we focus our mind on divinity, our mind will become divine. And focusing on divinity is trying, say for example, this beautiful thing is there here down. And if I focus the mind on this, thinking that this is part and parcel of the Lord. And the Lord is the controller of everyone and me. If we focus with that intention, then we will get divinity in our mind. But if one sees this beautiful thing and one focuses it, the mind will be under control. But it's not necessary that one will be in a state of divinity. So this is when we connect with the Lord, we are in a state of divinity. So here what Krishna is saying is, both sannyasa and yoga, the common theme there is dhyana. So that is what is the second verse. And then we go to the third verse. Arurukshor muner yogam, karma karanam uchyate, yoga rudhasya tasyaiva, shama karanam uchyate. So here the word by word is Aruruksho, who has just begun yoga. Mune, of the sage. Yogam, the eightfold yoga system. Karma, work. Karanam, means. Uchyate, is said to be. Yoga, eightfold yoga. Arudhasya, of one who has attained. Tasya, his. Eva, certainly. Shamaha, cessation of material activities. Karanam, the means. Uchyate, is said to be. So translation here is, for one who is a neophyte, in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means. And for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. Okay, so basically, so one is starting off in the spiritual journey. So when one starts in the spiritual journey, one is not ready to be in a state of renunciation because one is attached. So what is the difference between a person who is situated in a material frame of mind and a person who is situated in a spiritual frame of mind? The person who is in the material frame of mind thinks that this body and mind is the only thing that exists. There is nothing other than that. So if I think from that perspective, then I have to work and I will be attached to my work, right? Because this body, I have to enjoy my body. I have to enjoy my senses. If I want to enjoy my senses, whatever work I do, I have to get good results out of it. Because if I don't get good results, I won't be able to enjoy. I won't be able to enjoy my senses. I won't be able to, become a great person. And, this is Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam. Krishna actually says in Bhagavad-Gita that person who is attached to Bhoga and Aishwarya. Bhoga is sense gratification. Aishwarya is this thinking that, I should be considered as a great person. So this is called Aishwarya. So if someone is attached to that thing, Bhoga and Aishwarya, Taya apaharata chetasam. Krishna says that their actual mind has been kidnapped by the material energy of the Lord. Taya apaharata chetasam vyavasaya atmika buddhir samadho na vidyate. For such a person, this one-pointed concentration in engaging in spiritual direction does not happen. Because why? Because I'm thinking that, I am this body, I am this mind, and this enjoyment is the only enjoyment. But when one somehow or other, through the grace of the Lord, understands that there is an eternal enjoyment, which is totally free from all the beginning and end, then So basically, a person who is beginning their journey in the spiritual direction, because they are very much attached to their body and mind, they will be attached to their results. So that is what is Krishna is saying. For the person who has begun their spiritual journey, they are attached, and therefore the work is their means. But for a person who has covered a lot of path in their journey, and who is yoga rudha. Yoga rudha means one who has become quite mature in practicing yoga. For such a person, the attachment to results does not happen. Why it does not happen? Because the person knows very clearly that I am eternal. My actual bliss is not dependent on me getting results from my action. Generally what happens is, because it's all, at the end of the day, it's all coming back to this thinking that I am this body and mind. That is a basic thing. So a person who is beginning their journey is thinking a lot about their body and mind, but a person who is very far ahead in their spiritual journey know very clearly about their eternal nature. So then it does not matter to them. What they are doing is they are just performing all the activities as an offering of love to the Lord, and they are saying that, Lord, you, whatever you want, you can do. So this is nimitta matram bhava savyasachi. Krishna actually says to Arjuna, "Oh Arjuna, you become my instrument." So it's such a wonderful thing, right? If we become instrument of the Lord, then we are not responsible for our actions, right? So we are not. So basically, the reactions that we are getting will not affect us. The reactions affect us because we are attached to the results. So if I'm attached to my results, and if while doing my action I commit some sins, I will have to bear the consequences of those sins. But if I'm not attached to my actions and I'm just doing the duty as an offering of love to the Lord, even if I do sins unknowingly, it is not going to affect me. Nor pious activity is going to affect me. And this is the biggest problem generally with someone who is attached to their body and mind, right? Because they want to perform pious activities so that they get pious credits back, so that they can enjoy their senses. And then in the Vedas, it talks about heavenly enjoyment as well. And heavenly enjoyment is like life for millions and millions of years, full enjoyment, no trouble. But then what is happening? Kshine punya marte lokam vishanti. What happens is, people are doing lots of pious activities. They might get heavenly world, but after the pious credits get exhausted, one comes back to the material world. And then this cycle is continuously continuing. Ei rupe brahmanda brahmite. It is mentioned in the scriptures that the living entity is going from one species to another species, from one world to another world continuously. But somehow or other, if there is Guru Krishna Kripa Paye Bhakti Lata Beach, somehow or other, if one gets the mercy of Krishna and Guru, there is this seed of bhakti that gets sprouted within. And then if that seed is given the water and the sunlight of Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting about the Lord, Smaranam, remembering the Lord, it starts becoming plant. It starts to grow. It becomes a tree, and it goes into the Goloka Vrindavan Dham. Right. So this is the way. So somehow or other, if we can continue to remember the Lord, in all circumstances. That is what is Ananya Cheta Satatam Yo. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. Krishna mentions the Ananya word quite a lot. That means as continuously as possible. There is this particular verse, Dukh mein sumiran sab kare, sukh mein kare na koi. So it's Kabir Das's, I think. It says that people all remember the Lord when they are in sorrow, but not much when they are happy. But if one is constantly remembering the Lord, what is happening is one gets into a state of attachment to the Lord. So anasaktasya karma phalam. So this is what this particular verse is saying, that in the beginning one is attached, but if one continuously understands one's eternal nature, then one goes into a state where one starts becoming detached. Right? So we'll go to the next verse, which is Yada hinendriyartheshu
Yada hinendriyartheshu
na karmasva anushajyate
na karmasva anushajyate
sarva sankalpa sannyasi
sarva sankalpa sannyasi
yogarudhastadochyate
yogarudhastadochyate
Yada,
Yada
when,
when
he,
he
certainly,
Certainly.
na, not,
not
indriyartheshu,
indriyartheshu
in sense gratification,
in sense gratification
na, never, karmasu,
karmasu
in fruitive activities,
in fruitive activities
anushajyate,
anushajyate
one necessarily engages,
one necessarily engages
sarva sankalpa
sarva sankalpa
of all material desires,
of all material desires
sannyasi,
sannyasi
renouncer,
renouncer
yogarudha,
yogarudha
elevated in yoga,
elevated in yoga
tada,
tada
at that time,
at that time
uchyate
uchyate
is said to be.
is said to be
So the translation here is a person is said
A
person is said
said
to be elevated
to be elevated
in yoga
in yoga
when
when
having renounced
having renounced
all material desires,
all material desires
he neither acts
he neither acts
for sense gratification
for sense gratification
nor engages
nor engages
in fruitive activities.
in fruitive activities.
So this is a very high standard, right? Yoga rudha. So this arudha means one who is very high stage, right? So one who is in a very high stage in yoga. Krishna is talking about that person, right? In the previous verse, he was saying that a person who is starting, they will be attached to the work, and therefore work is the reason for their existence. And a person who has matured, for them, the work is not the means of achievement, even though they will be working, but they are not attached to the results of work. Now, here Krishna is saying that this is a very high stage of spiritual life, where person does not have any material desires. Why a person does not have any material desires? Because the person fully knows that I am spirit. This matter is just a covering that I have, but I am not matter. So when I know fully that I am spirit, what kind of desires will I have? Spiritual desires, right? When I know I am spirit, I will have spiritual desires. When I am existing in a state of material existence, I'll have material desires. So if I think I am this body and mind, I'll have all the desires to satisfy my body and mind. If I know that I am spirit, the only desires I'll have is spiritual desires. So this is what Krishna is saying here. He neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in. So this is sarva sankalpa sannyasi. Na karmasva, na indriyartheshu, na karmasva anushajyate. Sarva sankalpa sannyasi. So sarva sankalpa is he has renounced all kinds of material desires. So it is a very high state of existence, right? But it is attainable. It is attainable by each and every person. Actually, each and every person is in that state, but they don't realize it. How do we know each and every person is in a pure spiritual state? Because that is the only state of existence. All the other states are superimposed on the spiritual state. They are not the natural state. The natural state is that we are all part and parcel of Krishna. Mama eva amsha jiva loke. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita that all the living entities are my eternal part and parcels. So that's why this process of discussing Bhagavad-Gita and engaging in this is called self-realization. It's not something that is external to us. It is mentioned in the scriptures, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabonai. Sadhya means something that is external to us and we need to attain it. So there is sadhak, there is sadhana, and there is sadhya. Sadhak is a person who is actually trying to know the Lord. Sadhana is what they are engaged in. And sadhya is the goal. So what that verse is saying is, the love for the Lord is not something that is external to us. It is there within the heart of each and every. Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishta. I am in the heart of all the living entities. So the Lord is there. It is all there. The what is preventing us from experiencing it is that I think that this is the only thing that the body and mind is the only thing that exists. Somehow or other. There is no inclination to know my real nature. And if I don't have inclination to know my real nature, what will happen? I will always be in the material situation. And unfortunately, there will be a punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Srila Shankaracharya says in Bhagavad-Gita, in Bhaja Govindam, he says that this is the unfortunate situation, like constantly taking birth, constantly dying, constantly in the womb of one mother and another mother. Iha samsare bahudustare. Shankaracharya says that this material world is very difficult to overcome. Therefore, he says, Kripaya pare pahi murare. O enemy of Demon Mura, please give your costless mercy so that you can help us to cross over this ocean of birth and death. So then we go to the next verse, which is the last verse, and this is interesting here because now Krishna is saying how one becomes yoga rudha, because he was talking about yoga rudha in the previous verse, how one becomes mature in spiritual life. Here he is saying how one can become mature. So we'll see this. Uddharedatmanatmanam
Uddharedatmanatmanam
Natmanam avasadaet Natmanam avasadaet Atmaiva hi atmano bandhur Atmaiva hi atmano bandhur Atmaiva ripuratmanah Atmaiva. So the word by word, Uddhared, one must deliver. Atmana, by the mind. Atmanam, the conditioned soul. Na, never. Atmanam, the conditioned soul. Avasadaet, put into degradation. Atma, mind. Eva, certainly. He, indeed. Atmanah, of the conditioned soul. Bandhu, friend. Atma, mind. Eva, certainly. Ripu, enemy. Atmanah, of the conditioned soul. Translation here is, one must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. So this is it's quite interesting how in the beginning Krishna how it all progresses very logically, right? So Krishna is talking everything very logically. So he was talking about sannyasa and yoga, then he was talking about a person who has started in yoga and yoga rudha. Now he is talking how one can become yoga rudha. So he is saying that uddhared atmanam natmanam avasadaye. So basically what is happening is, so the mind is naturally situated within the self, and it is, when it is situated within the self, it is totally content and totally peaceful. But somehow or other, because the false ego is linking the eternal soul with the mind and the temporary body, the mind starts going outside. The mind wants to explore. The mind wants to explore matter, basically, and the mind is going out. And when the mind is going out, we have got this samskaras. So since time immemorial, we have been taking body after body, birth after birth. And this subtle body, the mind, intelligence and false ego, the mind has got lots, it's like an unlimited storage. So whatever we have done since time immemorial, like no beginning, no end. Anadi Bahirmukha Jeev, it is mentioned in the scriptures, the living entity since time immemorial has been Bahirmukha. Bahirmukha means not trying to know my original existence. I'm always looking outside, oh, this is wonderful, that is wonderful. Like a child going into a wonderful candy shop. When they go into a wonderful candy shop, they are so attracted by all the wonderful things in the shop. Exactly that is the situation of the conditioned living entity. We're coming into this world and we're thinking, oh wow, this is wonderful, that is wonderful, this is wonderful, that is wonderful. But all that wonder is being seen because I have the consciousness within me. The consciousness is gone. Who is going to see and what is going to be seen? Nothing. So this is what. So what happens is, when the mind is within its home, the home is our eternal existence. It will be totally satisfied. But when the mind goes outside, it is in a state of. So that's why Krishna says, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kamshati. When one is in a state of understanding that I am an eternal part and parcel of Krishna, I do not have any hankering or lamentation. The hankering and lamentation happens because I think I am this body, then my body has got particular needs. And basing on the samskaras that I have, whatever I have done since time immemorial, I will be acting in a particular way. I might be attached to one particular thing. I might be running away from another particular thing. This is called raga dvesha. So there is raga and dvesha. This is what is ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita, this is what is our existence in this material world. I am attracted to some things, I am repelled by some other things. Why that is happening? Because samskaras. So what Krishna is saying here is, if I can try and somehow understand that I am eternal and I am eternally connected with Krishna, and my natural happiness is in relationship with Krishna, then that is a higher self. But if my mind goes outside and thinks that all these things I want to enjoy, then I am in a state of disturbance. So Krishna says that try and understand your higher nature. And that is what is called. So when we understand our higher nature, param drishtva nivartate. Krishna actually mentions, if somehow or other we get a higher taste, automatically we'll give up the lower taste. Krishna actually mentions in Bhagavad-Gita, he says, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Initially, for example, if someone is in the beginning of the spiritual journey, it would not be palatable to them to engage in these discussions. It will not feel right. It will feel that I can enjoy somewhere else. Why am I sitting here? But if somehow or other one persists and one says, one has that 0.00001% of some interest, and that interest, because of that interest, one is, trying to take out that lower mind and trying to understand what the higher mind is saying and trying to do that. What will happen is slowly one will start getting the taste. It is mentioned that Adav Shraddha, Tatha Sadhu Sangha, Tatha Bhajana Kriya. There are 9 different stages. Yoga Rudha. The Yoga Rudha is Prema. Love for the Lord is the final stage. Before that, there are 8 stages. It starts with Shraddha. It starts with faith. Then Sadhu Sangha. Then one engages in people who are interested in talking about the Lord. Then Bhajana Kriya. Bhajana Kriya is Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. One is engaging in hearing about the Lord, talking about the Lord, remembering the Lord, all the different types. Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti. The fourth is all the things, all the samskaras that we had because of raga and dvesha, they start going away. Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha. The fifth is Nishtha. Nishtha is when the faith gets a little bit more stronger. And then after Nishtha is Ruchi. Ruchi is taste. So when there is taste, then there is Asakti. Asakti is attachment. Then there is Bhava. Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, and then Prema. So those are all the different stages of Yoga Rudha. So somehow or other, if we can increase the taste for engaging in hearing Bhagavad-Gita, engaging in understanding who we are. We are an eternal part and parcel of the Lord. If we can keep developing that interest, we will reach a stage where nothing is going to disturb us. Yam labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tata yasmin sthitena dukkhena guru napi vichalyate. Krishna says that state is a state where once one attains it, one thinks that there is nothing else to be attained. Why? Because bhayam dvitiya abhiniveshada syat. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that the fear happens because I think that there is something other than the Lord. Actually, there is only Lord. There is Lord and His energy. There is nothing else other than that. So when one is in that state, then yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati. Krishna says that whoever sees me in everything and everything in me, I never forget a person and such a person never forgets me. Tasya hamna pranashyami sacha mena pranashyati. So we come to a stage where we can see the Lord everywhere, because it's His energy. Either He is personally present in Goloka Vrindavan Dham, and we can personally have an interaction with Him, or we see anywhere and we remember the Lord. And then we are always in touch with the Lord, and that is Uddharer Atman Atmanam. So that is, then we come in touch with our higher mind. And then through the higher mind, we can, not be under the influence of the lower mind. So that is the last verse. So thank you very much for listening. If there is any comments or questions, we can discuss.
So higher mind is not affected by the conditioning of the soul.
No. So the higher mind is situated within the self. So when the mind is situated within the self, the mind is not actually existing, because it is only the self.
Okay.
The mind is like it becomes a spiritual mind, right? If we look at it from the perspective of bhakti, when the mind is within the self, it is a spiritual mind. So then that mind has got only spiritual desires. How I can engage in Krishna's service. That is the only desire that mind will have. And all the whatever one is, yadyat karma karomi tathat takhilam shambho tavaradhanam. There is this sakalam parasmay narayaneti samarpayami. Whatever work is being done, it is being done as an offering to the Lord. So then everything becomes spiritual, right? So when the mind is situated within the self, everything becomes spiritual. Even though we are situated in the material world is not going to affect us. So that verse where Krishna says Padma Patra Ivambasa, like a lotus flower which is within the dirty pond, and it is not affected. Even though it is in that pond, it is not affected by anything, because our original existence is not affected by material world at all. So when the mind is situated in our original existence, then we are in a spiritual state of existence.
But that state, I don't think it's easy to achieve.
It's not, yeah.
Millions of births.
Exactly, yeah. But at least if we try to understand it, because see, the first step is if we have this interest to understand, once we understand it, then we can think about it. That is what is Shravanam. You're listening. Just like if we want to learn any subject, in this world, we go to university, right?
Yeah.
When we are going to university, we don't have an attitude that I know everything. If we go with an attitude to the university, we won't be able to learn anything from the lecturers. So we'll go with an attitude that lecturer knows quite a lot. I am going to learn from the lecturer. Then a person will learn. That is amanitvam, the humility, right? So then once that learning is there, then one will start thinking about it, right? That is smaranam, mananam, nididhyasana it is called. There is a word called nididhyasana. That means that one is constantly, a situation of a person who is in a very depressed state of mind, unfortunately, they're constantly brooding over something negative. Someone might have told something bad to them, and constantly there will be the mind, and that is the lower mind. The lower mind is that basically. The activity of lower mind is, it is bringing us into the lower vibrations. So that's why Krishna is saying, get your lower mind to a higher stage by your higher mind. The higher mind is full of gratitude, is always trying to see the positive things in any situation. It might be the most difficult situation, but they will still try to see positivity in it. That is a higher mind, that is a state of higher mind. And if one can constantly be in that state of higher mind, then one will always be in a grateful gratitude, in a state of gratitude. And that is sending positive vibrations everywhere. It's all like you can see the personalities, right? There might be different types of persons. Some persons, unfortunately, are in a negative vibe, and then when they are going anywhere, they are unfortunately spreading the negative vibe. And some people are in a positive vibe, and when they are going, people are peaceful, people are content, people are happy. Somehow or other, with the current, Kali Yuga state, what is happening is peacefulness, contentment, happiness is all considered as something that is not important. The disturbance has become a norm. Disturbance and a state of constant flux. Somehow, and that's what mind wants as well. Actually, mind does not want to, like the lower mind, right? The lower mind does not want to be in a state of peacefulness, contentment. So it always likes this state of flux, constant state of flux.
And even if we see someone that he is peaceful, we always relate it, oh, he's very rich. It is obvious that he'll be at peace.
Yeah, that's true, yes.
He has all the luxuries, he
Yes.
can afford everything, he
Yes.
has a good house, good car,
Yes,
family members are all nice and
yes.
well. Like suppose there's a IES family or a doctor's family, we would think that
Yes, that's right, yeah.
they have to be at peace, they don't have any material disturbances,
Yeah.
they are not poverty stricken, so definitely they will be at peace. This
Yeah.
is what we think when
We think
see
that
them.
way. But the person who is actually in that situation, only they know their state of mind.
Yeah, like what all the struggles they have
Exactly,
been through,
exactly.
what all miseries they are
Exactly, yeah.
suffering.
Yeah, exactly.
But this comparison is also something that always activates our lower mind, and
Yes, that's true.
our higher mind is still deactivated.
No, that's true. Yeah. And that is a state of false ego, right? So, in the state of false ego, I'm thinking that I am this body, and then this body should have all the luxuries. This body should be respected by everyone, right? So we are in that state of existence. And then if I see that someone has got a higher position than me or higher this than me, then there is this jealousy that comes in, envy that comes in, right? So, and then it's a negative. Envy is a negative vibration. But if we actually look at the other person and say that, oh, the Lord has given them such wonderful facilities, and they are Lord's great servants.
We hardly associate it with Lord's blessing.
So then we are in a state of gratefulness, right? Gratitude. And it's quite amazing. Once we are in that state of gratitude, everything changes. Right? Everything becomes Vaikuntha, actually, literally. Vaikuntha means Vigata Kuntha. Kuntha means anxiety. So a place where there is no anxiety is Vaikuntha. That is the spiritual world. It's called Vaikuntha. So even in the material world, if we can be in a state where we don't have any anxiety, then even though we are physically situated in material world, we are not in material world. We are in spiritual world.
But
It's
this
quite
touch
amazing.
of material world only, like they say, there was a story that she was cursed. Whatever she will touch will turn into stone. So the material world is like that. The moment we get into the influence, we are, like I said, the lower mind gets activated more
That's
than
right.
the higher mind.
That's right, yeah.
But lower mind is also driven by the modes of material
Yes.
nature, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So
The higher mind is not.
But how come, like?
Because when the mind is in a higher state of existence, it is in its natural state. Its natural state is within the self. Actually, so there are two ways of understanding this. One is that impersonal way.
Yeah.
In the impersonal way, what is said is that there is only self, nothing else exists. That is the impersonal way of understanding. Everything that we are seeing as existence is because we are identifying with it. That's why we see everything as being existing. But so the example that they give is in the deep sleep state. In the deep sleep state, do we know whether anything is existing? No. We are not aware of any existence. And once we come out of a deep sleep state, we feel very refreshed. why do we feel very refreshed? Because the mind was totally in its
was
home.
not in touch with the material.
So the lower mind became upper mind at that stage. Or the upper
Yeah,
mind,
it's-
or both are deactivated.
Both are
So-
deactivated.
Both are deactivated actually, because one is so
Yeah.
the pure state of higher mind happens when one is awake, but one's internal state is like a deep sleep.
Okay.
That is pure higher mind. That is the state of divinity. That is what is samadhi. Samadhi is that state, like a deep sleep state, but while you are awake. That is samadhi. Right? So then nothing is affecting a person. Right? It's a totally blissful state because one knows that all this is just see if something happens to the cloth, we are not bothered. We might be bothered if it's a very expensive cloth. we might, but that bother does not happen for too long, right?
Yeah.
But if something happens to the
Can I
body,
bring this home?
we are really bothered, right? We want to make it correct.
She just gave to
It's exactly the same thing. Like one is in a state of samadhi, one is situated in the state of eternality. One knows 100% one knows that this body is a cloth. So if something is happening to the cloth, am I bothered by it? No, I'm not bothered by it. Yeah. So that is the real state of existence, and that is a state that we can achieve in human form of life. It is said that it's only the human form of life that is capable of achieving that state. That's why all these wonderful saints, they are always very merciful to everyone. They are trying to tell people that please try and understand the value of what we have. But unfortunately, it is an unfortunate state, right? We get this wonderful gift of human body, and we kind of lose it without any use.
Is it Lalita?
And then when we are going to get next human body, we don't know
It's
really.
not his house. She rented.
No, I have one more question.
Yeah,
Why she didn't
Like this
rent?
week, I was working a lot. There's a lot of pressure.
yeah,
Work pressure. For
yes,
example.
yeah,
So if I don't take proper sleep, the next day I feel irritated, frustrated.
yes, yeah.
So this is normal, right? Or
Yes.
or are we saying if we are in a samadhi kind of state, that the one that you were saying,
Yeah.
the rest in peace when awake
Yeah,
is something is samadhi. How can I control that? Like, because I'm tired, I'm not having a proper sleep, and I'm tend to behave in a different way.
yeah,
If I'm taking a proper sleep, if I have a less pressure, then I'll be more peaceful, for example. I know it's an external factor, but still happening. But how do we control all these things? Like,
No, at the end of the day, we have to be cognizant of the fact that we have this material body, right?
yeah,
Like we are living in the material world, we have a material body, we have a material mind.
Yeah.
So we have to take care of it, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's really important.
We have limitations.
Yes. So it's important to get the sleep and get the rest.
Why you got
Yeah.
fruit say?
so that is what
Yeah.
I'm going to do today.
exactly. Exactly.
No,
yeah.
but again,
No, that is important.
no. What I want to
Otherwise,
say is,
yeah.
see, our job is something, you tend to get some time
Yes.
more work.
Yes.
So how to stay positive considering that you are not getting proper sleep and
That's
stuff
something
like that?
supernatural you're talking about. That we
See,
get
The mode of passion
Yeah.
can cause a mode of
ignorance.
no laziness as well. I'm just comparing.
Mode of passion.
Mode of ignorance.
Like for
is
example, mode of
laziness.
passion is I'm compassionate about my work. For example,
Passionate, yeah.
passionate.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
but that passion is causing
Lethargy.
laziness in in some way or other. So
Yeah, it's all mixed up. This is the thing about the modes of material nature.
yeah,
It's not like you've got a pure mode of passion or a
Yeah.
pure mode of ignorance or a pure mode of goodness. Of course, pure mode of goodness is called Vishuddha Sattva.
Yeah, yeah.
That is actually that state of samadhi,
Yeah.
Vishuddha Sattva. So it's all mixed up.
Okay,
So
okay.
you might have a combination of passion and ignorance at the same time.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
But the good thing is at least you are aware of it.
Yeah.
That is the starting point. Because once we are aware of it, then we can take measures to make it better. Unfortunately, there are some people who are not even aware of that, and it goes in a very difficult situation for them,
yeah,
right? So if you're not even aware that all these things are happening, and if one continuously is in that state, they are going to be in a very difficult situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Therefore, Krishna actually says, Yukta hara viharasya, Yukta karmasu kaushalam, Yukta swapnava bodhasya, Yogad bhavati dukkha. Krishna mentions it. So what it means is Yukta, like everything should be in moderated way. That's what Krishna says,
Feeling cold?
eating in moderation, entertainment in moderation, vihara is
Working in
entertainment. Work in moderation, exactly. Yeah. Then the yoga will not give us dukkha, it won't give us misery. Everything will be okay.
Yeah.
And this is what Buddha also says, he talks about the middle path. Buddha's story, what happens is, he sees this, a person dying, a person in disease, a person in old age. Do you know that story? Like when he was born, the astrologer said that either he'll be a great emperor or he'll be a great renunciant. So his father, what he does is, he tries to shield him from seeing anything negative in the world. But when he grows up, at a certain point of time, somehow he goes out, and then he sees that there is a person who is dying. He sees there is a person who has got disease. He sees there is a person who has got old age. And then he sees why are these miseries existing in this world? And he wants to find a solution for it. So then, even though he has a child, he just walks away one night. He renounces his family and walks away. And then after renouncing, he goes into some extreme paths, like totally not eating or drinking for many, many days and all those things. He tries those extreme paths. And then he says that no, that is not working. And then he goes back to a middle path where he is taking care of his body, everything, but he is meditating also. Constantly is meditating. And then finally, he gets the nirvana, right? Then it's interesting. After he has got nirvana, it's not that he's totally staying aloof from everyone. No, he starts actually going out everywhere and talking, trying to help people understand what exactly is, because he wants everyone to be free from miseries.
But then bhakti was missing in this.
Yeah, that was Buddha's avatara. Yeah. Nindasi yajna videhe. It's in Jayadeva Goswami's Dashavatara Stotra. Buddha Avatara's Stotra is there. Sadaya. So basically what happened was, during that time, so there was this animal sacrifices that was recommended in Vedas. But the reason the animal sacrifice was recommended was, they do mantras in a particular way so that the animal can get a human form of life in the next. But people started misusing that. People started doing that for eating, for taste of the tongue. So then Buddha came and he said that Vedas are ahaha shruti jatam, sadaya hridaya darshita pashugatam. So his compassionate heart was really did not want to see this animal sacrifice being done. So he did not talk anything about Vedas. Okay. Because Vedas have some segments where these animal sacrifices are recommended. So Keshava Dhrita Buddha Sharira Jai Jagadish Hari. It is mentioned that Krishna has come in the form of Buddha. And he is actually not saying anything about the Vedas.
And not about the service to the Lord.
Yes, because Vedas are, Vedas and everything related to that Vedas is what is Upasana Kanda and everything is there. Upasana is worship of the Lord, right? So he's totally kind of not talking about Vedas at all. He's only talking about that there is suffering, the fourfold, four noble truths it is called. Yeah? The first noble truth is there is suffering. The second noble truth, I think it says that there is a cause of suffering. The third noble truth says that the suffering can get ended. There is an end to suffering. And then the fourth noble truth says that there are eightfold noble paths so that you can end the suffering. So he does not talk anything about worship or any of those things.
So it's all about controlling the senses.
Yes, yeah. Through knowing that this suffering can be ended. When one knows what is the cause of suffering, one can end the suffering.
So meditation, like we condemn the meditation on the void. We totally want to meditate on the beautiful form of the Lord.
Yeah.
So in Buddhism, the meditation is on void.
Buddhism, there is one. Buddhism has got lots of divisions as well. I think but generally, yeah, the meditation can be on anything in terms of the Buddhist thing, you know, like,
Mhm.
for example, meditation can be just observing your breath
Right.
or observing what is happening in your body. That's what some, like, there is a Theravada Buddhist field, Buddhist branch. That is what they do. But then there is Hinayana and Mahayana. You know, there are these two. So Hinayana is the Theravada path, and then there is Mahayana path, which talks about devotion as well. But actual Buddha's teaching did not have devotion specifically mentioned in it. So all these branches shoots out. You know, after a main person is gone, there are different branches that shoots out of that.
Because all the followers have their own perspective.
That's
and
right,
they
exactly.
bring out different paths.
Exactly. Yes, yeah. Because everyone is unique, so then they'll form their own perspectives of what is being taught.
Yeah.
And then if someone is really empowered in a particular way, that person may start their own path.
His preachings will be followed more.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad-Gita ki jai,
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So now we'll
Sure.
do the Narasimha Arti. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Prahlada Daine. Prahlada Hiranyakashe Purvaksha. Shilatanta Nathalaye. Shilatanta Hito Narsimho Parato Narsimho. Yato yato yami tato Narsimho. Yato yato yami Bahir Narsimho Hridaye Narsimho. Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapade. Tavatara Kamalavare Natham Adbhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa Keshavadhrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Tava Adbhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa Keshavadhrita Narahari Rupa
Jai Jagadish Hare.
Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jaya Narsimha Dev 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 Jaya Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari Jaya Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय,
जय।
प्रहलाद महाराज की जय।
जय
नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी प्रचारणे सर्वं श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु कृष्णे मतिरस्तु हरे कृष्ण
हरे कृष्ण
थैंक यू वेरी मच